Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the AFC. We're going to specifically talk in this video about the AFC North and the AFC East. We'll start off here with the Baltimore Ravens. A lot of turnover with this team. They lost their main linebacker in C.J. Mosley, their longtime quarterback in Joe Flacco, which that turnover happened mid-season last year. Terrell Suggs, Zadarius Smith.
I mean, really, losing Flacco doesn't hurt them at all because they believe in Lamar Jackson, which, like it or hate it, they're rolling with it and they're going to transform. Hopefully, what they hope is
but
the offense in NFL.
Question mark with him is, can he actually throw the ball?
He really can. From watching him play, because they're seemingly always nationally televised, he really only completed barely
maybe
if that, if five.
Yeah.
Long, deep passes. And,
only throws the ball 20 times a game, if that.
If that. Now, granted, the Chargers played them in the wild card round of the playoffs, but they did play them in the regular season.
It was the first team to play them twice.
They figured them out, because all you really have to do is play a lot of secondary fast players, and you can put a quarterback spy as a safety or a corner, and you can pretty much lock him down.
Yeah. Adding to the running game, getting Mark Ingram, that's it's a big help.
It's a big help, but he's not an every down back.
They don't really have an every down back to begin with.
Because when your quarterback can run the ball, that's what you're going to have.
They got Burner and Marquise Brown.
Yes. It was a smart pick. Do I agree that he should have been the first receiver off the board?
No.
He has traits. If he has the same traits as his cousin, Antonio, he's going to be a steal of a pick. But
with that, does all the drama come with it?
He hasn't become a training camp player. He didn't play in the preseason, at least notably he didn't. He didn't have notable stats. So we'll just see when the season starts. But, he looks pretty fast.
Yeah. That's the main thing about him is he's got speed.
They drafted him for speed.
Yeah. And then their biggest addition is obviously Earl Thomas.
That was shocking news because,
they had one of the best secondaries to begin with, and just
knew he wasn't returning to Seattle after that horrible leg injury and him flipping his coach off.
Yeah, that wasn't too great.
TV. But, he might be a little bit older now, but he's still an elite safety. You could argue he's still the best safety in the league. For his abilities, I would put him solidly top 5. I can't put him any lower than that. Also, they lose their longtime edge rusher, Terrell Suggs, but they supplement that with the draft pick of Jalen Ferguson, who, yes, he was an FCS player. Now, he was playing smaller schools, but now I'm not sure, was he FCS? Is Louisiana Tech technically FCS, or am I just mistaken? Now, I'm not very good with college, but I know that when he was being in the draft process, there was
rumors of first round potential with
round potential, but the scouts were thinking, did he play quality opponents enough?
Yeah.
Now he had a ton of sacks. The kid's a freak of an athlete, but will it translate to the NFL? We don't know.
Yeah, and Miles Boykin, he's coming out of Notre Dame.
You come out of a college like that, played in the playoff, at the college football playoff, and he's a pretty big kid.
I think he'll be good. I think he could be a starter maybe by
he's not gonna take the top off of your defense. No. But he's solid enough route runner. He's got size. He'll produce. And this last one hurts. Trace McSorley, Penn State kid. He
late round pick.
Yeah, late round pick. He's not gonna do much. He'll probably become what Lamar was last year when they still had Flacco, and he'll be like a sub-package quarterback. He'll play receiver sometimes. Yeah. They wanted him to convert to receiver. All the scouts combined, they were like, try out a receiver, and he was dead set on being a quarterback, and now he is an NFL quarterback.
Well, he'll probably only be their backup.
We'll see what John Harbaugh can draw up for him.
And then the Bengals,
this one should be quick.
They're the bottom feeder of this division.
They could be the bottom feeder of the AFC.
They could be the bottom feeder of the whole NFL.
Andy Dalton.
His best years
is gone.
AJ Green being out for an extended period of time hurts the team even worse than they already have.
They have Tyler Boyd.
Yeah.
But other than
Tyler
that,
Eifert.
who do you have? Tyler Eifert might not even play football.
He's
again.
like a shell of his former self, even if he does
because
play.
of all these injuries.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, Joe Mixon's going to carry them as long as he can, but that defense is,
Well,
yeah,
speaking of Joe Mixon, he's
Yeah.
their first round pick, Jonah Williams.
he's done
out
for the year.
Yeah, so
Pick him at 11, and he can't even make training camp.
exactly. Like he was supposed to be their starting left
tackle,
tackle, or I also heard he could play guard.
Blind side.
But still,
that's a brutal hit, especially
Oh, yeah.
because we didn't know with Pittsburgh jumping them at 10, there was rumors that if Devin Bush fell to them, they would have picked him. Now, he could have easily slid into that Bengal defense and been the leader, just like he's going to do in Pittsburgh.
yeah,
But they lose Vontaze Burfict. They lose Adam Jones. Their secondary with William Jackson and Drake Kirkpatrick is very suspect.
yeah, that team's just
They're going to need to win in shootouts, and I don't think Andy Dalton can do that with Tyler Boyd as their best receiver.
I don't think they can do that even with just as Andy Dalton as the quarterback.
Because they're a running team now with Mixon,
Yeah,
and
that's
you're not going
gonna
to
get
run
too
the
far.
clock and put up points.
The Browns, this is probably the most hyped up team of the entire
It's-
NFL right now.
Could be the most hyped up team in the past decade.
Yeah,
I mean, when you gain a receiver with the quality of Odell and give up pretty much nothing. You gave up a first round pick. Okay, it was a mid first round pick.
well, you also gave
We
up
didn't know.
Kevin Zeitler
And
in that
Jabril
trade.
Peppers.
Yeah,
Now, Zeitler was a pretty big part of their
offensive line.
But they can replace that.
They also got Olivier Vernon in that trade as well, which will help.
really was a steal. I mean,
Yeah,
come on. You give up Jabril Peppers and a first-round pick, a guy that really hasn't showed much being a first-round pick, and a future player that you don't know if they're going to develop.
yeah,
And you get two guys that are proven players that are Pro Bowl caliber players.
studs.
I mean, Odell's all pro.
Yeah,
So, and to steal, I believe was the steal of the draft in Greedy Williams in the second
Yep.
round. That this man was projected top 5 pick.
yeah.
Top 5
And he
in
went
the
to the
middle of
second
March.
round.
In the middle of March, he was a projected top 5 pick, and he fell to the second round because teams were worried about his tackling ability.
Yeah,
Which at corner and it being a passing league, yeah, if you are in front of a guy, you have to tackle him.
but in order for the ball to be caught, he's got great.
The kid's big. He can cover. I won't put it past him there.
And another pick, Mac Wilson, coming out of Alabama.
A late round
Very,
pick. Man,
very
it should
good
have been
linebacker.
Should have been a day 2 pick, slid to day 3. I mean, he already had a pick 6 in the preseason. And, like you said, Bama players, come on.
Yeah,
You really can't get much better than that. And, I mean, Kareem Hunt was kind of a surprising pickup by them, not going to
it
lie.
was just
because
mainly because they already have.
They had Nick
Chubb.
Chubb. They have Nick Chubb, who
Yeah.
last year, as a rookie, showed a lot of potential.
Yeah,
The kid's going to probably be the starter even when Kareem Hunt comes back, I believe.
yeah.
I would say.
Unless Kareem Hunt can wow.
But he's
the
also a
coaching
good
staff.
receiving back too.
Yeah.
So they could do a little bit of like two running back packages, and when you got a proven, okay, let me take that back, a leader in Baker Mayfield, who has taken not only the team but the city by storm.
Yeah.
This whole city's behind this kid, and I mean, I'm a fan of his. I'm not gonna beat around the bush about it. I'm a fan of Baker Mayfield's. Ever since
Kid
I
can
saw him in
win.
college, the kid's a winner.
Hands down a winner.
And if he can turn this team around, he led a team that was 0-16 one year to 7 wins.
That's
That's a lot more than the past 10 quarterbacks have done in Cleveland.
yeah.
And really, the last one to have any success was Tim Couch. Do you know that name, Tim Couch?
Not really.
I mean, do you believe that any of our viewers would know who that man is?
I mean, maybe if you're like a low-key diehard Cleveland fan, but
He started in, I believe, up until 2000, either 2 or 3, because he was the last Browns quarterback to win in Pittsburgh.
no, wow.
And that was that long ago. So, now speaking of that,
The
the Steelers,
first round pick, Devin Bush.
yes, I want to clearly air about this. I am a diehard Steeler fan. I am a very biased Steeler fan, but I don't want it to affect any of the things that I'm going to say here. I love Devin Bush. But in all my mock drafts before that I didn't have us moving up 10 picks to pick him. The guy I wanted, we mentioned in the last episode about the NFC, I wanted Byron Murphy. I thought Byron Murphy would have fit well in Pittsburgh, being a small corner, could have slid opposite of Joe Hayden. But whenever they signed Steven Nelson in March, that idea kind of slipped farther and farther away. Now, I do like the tape of Steven Nelson, but the only criticism I have is he was on a Chiefs defense last year. That was very suspect. And he does seem to
Chiefs
get beat.
defense that got exploited in the playoffs.
But this guy seems like he has heart. Steven Nelson, I like it. But getting back to Bush, I mean, I know it's preseason, and I know it was against Tampa Bay, who we both believe is going to be probably the bottom feeder of the NFC.
Yeah.
He had 10 tackles in the first half.
Which...
That's what most studs get in a game.
Yeah.
Because you average 10 tackles in a first half. Say you double that, you get 20. Like, no one gets 20 tackles a game. I believe the NFL record is somewhere in the 20s for a game.
Yeah.
But if you average 10 tackles a game, you're getting 160 tackles in a year, which is pretty impressive.
That's bonkers.
And you have to agree with me. This kid has sideline-to-sideline speed. That's matched
sure.
pretty much
Sure.
I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah.
And I know everybody's saying, but, he's coming in to replace Ryan Shazier.
You can't make that comparison for that kid.
No, not yet. I mean, Shazier was a freak of an athlete just like Bush is. But you can't put the pressure on this kid's shoulders to replace a guy that freakishly hurt himself.
If it wasn't for his health, probably would have been a Hall of Famer.
He probably would be starting, and if these two were side by side.
That's one of the better linebacker cores in the entire NFL, though.
And moving on to, I mean, it's hard because, yes, they lose Le'Veon Bell.
But they didn't have Le'Veon Bell for the entire last year.
Last year, and James Conner put up solid enough numbers in the games he played.
Like we said previously, all that matters is if you have a good O-line, then you can have a solid running game.
And arguably, the Steelers have a top 3 offensive line.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they made James Conner. Now, James Conner's a great kid. Nothing against him, but he's not Le'Veon Bell.
He's not athletic freak of Le'Veon Bell.
Le'Veon was different, but he's got a year off now. He's with the Jets. We'll speak about that in a few minutes. But let's get on the topic of Antonio Brown.
Losing him hurts.
It hurts.
But
the dude
now Juju can.
Juju can do what he can.
It's the time for Juju now.
Picking up Dante Moncrief, I like it. Little speedster guy. But I want to talk about AB for a second. Now, I don't want to be rude and say don't interrupt, but I have to let a little off my chest here. Antonio Brown was a 6th-round pick. He came in with little to no expectation about him. Probably would have been a practice squad player at best when he was drafted. Came out of Central Michigan. He had no offers coming out of his little city in Miami. He grew up hard. His dad wasn't there. His dad abandoned them. He grew up pretty much his own role model. If you didn't know, his dad's name was Touchdown Eddie Brown. He was pretty much, if not the greatest, a top 5 all-time arena football player. But getting back on him, 6th-round pick out of Central Michigan. No one heard of this kid. He comes in, first game of his NFL career, gets a kick return touchdown against the Tennessee Titans, and Rob Baronis, Lord rest his soul. This man was accepted by Pittsburgh. When you get a city of this gratitude and excellence, football excellence, and they accept this little kid, and he beats out Mike Wallace, who was a loved receiver in Pittsburgh, for a contract. And then he explodes. I mean, explodes off the map to become the person he was. Turn around this past year, 2018 season, he doesn't get the ball a few times. He has been known to be a little bit of a complainer. You've seen it, pile up over the past few seasons. But it really got to its heated point this year. I went to 2 games this past year. He scored in both games. He was happy as can be. Him and Ben tied or broke the record for Steelers combined touchdown passes. They beat out Bradshaw and Swan and Bradshaw and Stallworth. And him and Ben hugged on the sideline. I saw it. But then, months later, come the Saints game, they win, or they go in, lose to New Orleans on some horrible call. That would end up being what Steeler fans couldn't believe would be his last game as a Steeler. Because between week 16 and 17, he ran a route in practice. Ben didn't agree with it, criticized him, and then he walked off the field. So is what we heard. but it was reported as an injury. You don't show up for your team. Your team is bigger than you. You don't show up for your team's Week 17 game against a heated division rival to make the playoffs. You need to win and have help to get in. Now, granted, the Browns didn't beat the Ravens, so it was all for nothing. But you don't even dress for that game. You go to the game and you show up in some fur coat on the sideline smiling when you should have a stone face or you should be having a helmet on the field with your team. And then you bully your way out of Pittsburgh. You criticize your quarterback. You criticize your understudy who did nothing but appreciate you and say good things about you. Just because he won team MVP over you. Yeah, you had 15 touchdowns. But seriously? Like, that's what you're going to do? Yeah. I hope Oakland loves him. And I hope he shows them the same exact attitude that he showed Pittsburgh. Which right now, in the offseason, he's been nothing but me. Yeah. Over a stupid helmet.
Yeah. That's in its own self there, just alone.
What has happened? When owner Dan Rooney passed away a few years ago, he was one of the first people to post a picture about it. And he posted a heartfelt message. And there was pictures of him and Ben at the Pro Bowls, hugging each other, saying that they're best friends. And now he says that was all a lie. That I was just there to get mine, or I couldn't exactly remember paraphrases.
I think it was something,
but
it was along the lines of that, yeah.
What kind of sick human being says that? He's sick in the head.
Yeah.
He has 5 kids to raise, and you're being a role model like this. Do you not think your kids...
Some role model.
Do you think your kids do not see it? Your one kid's at least, I'm sure he's almost a teenager by now. I'm sure he has social media probably. They all have their own social media. Even his little baby who can't even talk yet has a social media page. They can see this about him. Yeah, he might spin it a different way, and I believe either girlfriend or fiance Chelsea can spin it the way to make his kids believe that the media is wrong. But this man is sick in the head. And, I mean, I'm not going to be a bad person and say I hope he has a terrible season. I hope for injury because you never say that.
Yeah.
But I hope he treats Oakland the same way he treated Pittsburgh, the city that picked him up as a young 20-year-old kid and groomed him to who he was today. And you know what? I'm not no harm on Derek Carr, but I want to see how he performs with a mediocre quarterback rather than a Hall of Fame quarterback. So, we can... I mean, it's tough. I mean, being a Steeler fan, idolizing this guy, having jerseys of him, having posters of him, and in a small instant, trading him for a 3rd and 5th round pick.
Yeah.
Who, just last thing I want to say, the 3rd round pick ended up being Deontay Johnson. He made the roster. This kid's supposed to be AB 2.0. He's everything that he was. Small conference, which I'm pretty sure it was even the same conference. He came from Toledo, which I believe is in the MAC, if I'm not mistaken. Could be the same conference as Central Michigan. I don't want to go on record saying that. But he's a smaller school kid. Arguably the best route runner in the draft. And he performed pretty well. He had a touchdown in the preseason. And to close this episode up, I would like to speak, and you can input on this because I don't want to take it all myself, but Darryl Drake, Steelers wide receiver coach, may he rest in peace. And I hope the receivers perform well for him, for this man.
I hope everybody performs well in honor of him.
This man was young. I mean, he was in his 60s, but he was a young man. And all of a sudden, unexpectedly, 2 days after a game, just gone. And that's rough. Because this man also helped groom AB, and all the Steelers receivers said anything, but as you can tell, I don't think self-centered Mr. Big Chest didn't say anything.
Moving on to the AFC East, we're going to start off here with the Buffalo Bills. Really, big news for them is just the releasing of LaShawn McCoy and then their first-round draft pick, Ed Oliver.
I mean, out of nowhere, they cut Shady.
Yeah.
It was more that, like, there was rumors about it. I mean, there was rumors last year about it. This man's an elite running back. Well, at least was
an elite running back.
He's probably 3rd or 4th tier running back by now.
Yeah.
But he did deserve better because this team was not balanced. They ran him.
They ran him into the ground, basically.
Right, and he doesn't have his little, explosiveness anymore.
Yeah, which is a shame because he was a very fun...
With Philadelphia...
Very fun to watch.
Yeah, he was insane. And then it was kind of even a head scratcher when he went to the Bills.
Yeah, like why are you getting rid of him?
Yeah, why is Philly? But it's the NFL's a business.
Yeah.
And this was for the better, I would say. And speaking on their first round pick, Ed Oliver, dude's a freak. I think they kind of got a gift with him being at 9.
The quote unquote around the world with him is that maybe he's the next Aaron Donald. I don't know if I believe that.
On the field, it kind of seems like it, but off the field, on the sidelines, he doesn't look like a team player. He kind of seems like it's all about him. He got into a fight with his coach.
Yeah.
A physical altercation with his coach in college. If that's not a question mark, I don't know what is.
Yeah, and I mean, they beef up their offensive line with the draft pick of Cody Ford.
Really,
getting depth at wide receiver position in Cole Beasley, which overpayment in my opinion.
But the guy can catch you. He's reliable target.
Slot receiver.
He's good hands. Got good hands.
Signing T.J. Yeldon and signing Frank Gore.
Add depth to your running back position, and you draft Devin Singletary to now be thrusted into being your bell cow back. I mean, the kid looks like he can do it, but I mean, you're gonna be an understudy to Frank Gore, and that's a pretty dang good person to be to teach you.
Very, very good running back.
Top 10 rusher all time.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean,
but Josh Allen.
He's got an arm.
He does, but is it accurate?
I mean,
he can throw the ball probably 70 yards, but
at the same time,
how far away is his receiver is going to be?
Yeah.
Does he have a wide receiver core that's
good enough? At least not yet.
They'll address it, but they're not going to make much noise.
I mean, and then moving on to the Dolphins, this team.
Can we be quick about this?
Yeah, they're
the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Right now.
I mean,
they accumulated a bunch of first round picks from the Houston Texans, which
in exchange for
their starting left tackle and
Larry Tunsil and
their
Stills.
Slot receiver and Kenny Stills.
Yeah.
They fleeced the Texans, I'm sorry, to get 2 first round picks for those two, which I mean, they're good players and they didn't need to be on this.
That's not first round caliber.
What is they now have some draft capital that even if somehow there's a team worse than them this year, they can acquire that first round pick, or that first overall pick, and get who everybody believes is Tua Tagovailoa or Justin Herbert, one of the two. And I mean, yes, they did get Ryan Fitzpatrick, who for some reason is a MVP caliber player in September. Then turn the month into October.
Well, I mean, he's a guy, he could put up maybe 30 touchdowns in a season, but he's also the same guy that can throw up 30 interceptions in a season.
Man went to Harvard, so no disrespect to him, but smarts on the field are not the same as smarts in the classroom.
Yeah.
And Josh Rosen, what's there to say about this? This is his last. I mean, it stinks to say that this is his second year in the league, and this could make or break his NFL career.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't do well this season, which he's not even the first Week 1 starter.
Yeah.
Which that confused me. But if they're in full tank mode, I kind of understand it. But you have a kid that's...
He's not going to be learning from anybody good.
No. But, I mean, if he's not on the field playing, what's the use of him? And he could be traded for the second time in 2 years next offseason if the Dolphins are full on Tua. If they get that first overall pick. If they get the first overall pick, I can see neither of them, this being a 1-year rental for both players. And Josh Rosen will just end up being a career backup, which being a pick 10th overall and saying that, the teams ahead of me made a mistake, making that bold of a claim, and you show nothing in your rookie season, get traded.
Yep. Not even start week 1.
Man's full of himself.
Well, Patriots, Patriots are going to win their division. I
won't even argue.
It's basically the inevitable in all of the NFL. Made some moves this offseason. There's always turnover with the Patriots every year. But obviously the big loss is Gronkowski. It hurts.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts in general just to lose Gronkowski, even if you're not a fan of the Patriots, just based on the fact that this guy, brings the fun to the game.
Could the greatest tight end of all time have retired before he was 30 years old? That's what we're going to be wondering the next couple of years.
And then they obviously lost their left tackle in Trent Brown. That's easy replacement is their first-round draft pick for last year, Isaiah Wynn. He got hurt and then didn't play at all last year. He's supposed to be their starting left tackle. Losing Trey Flowers, but acquiring Michael Bennett, drafting Chase Winovich, that's supposed to help offset the loss there. And then to help offset the loss in Rob Gronkowski, they draft N'Keal Harry with their first-round pick. First time they drafted a wide receiver in ages.
It probably, I believe it was at least, I don't want to go so far as saying the Belichick era, but it could have been because he doesn't draft.
I think it might have been like early on in the Belichick era.
Maybe they did, but not when. I don't think ever since he's been head coach, I don't think they've drafted a receiver.
I mean, now you also get a full season of Josh Gordon.
Hopefully. This is his last straw.
Yeah.
I mean.
And then also hopefully Demaryius Thomas can actually stay on the field and not get injured.
Right, the dude's a stud when he's on the field. And to get back to Gronk, I mean, it's going to be the storyline of the season. You get 3 stud receivers to put with Julian Edelman, and you have the receiving back in James White, who is probably going to be at least maybe one of your leading receivers because he usually is.
He's
and
up
you have Sony Michel as your running back, but teams can take away, like the Patriots always do. They take away your number one option. That's why teams hardly ever have star receivers do good against Patriot defense. But yeah, you have receivers, but you also Brady loves that security blanket, which was what Gronk always was, and Gronk could run routes. Now, yes, you have 3 receivers. Edelman can turn into that. Edelman runs the short little routes perfectly, and he can be that first down getter, which he has been his whole career.
And always will still be.
Right, because you don't need to be that fast to run a little drag route and get open, which he
I wouldn't say he's fast, but I would definitely say he's got a quickness element to him.
He's got agility. He's not speedy.
He's not speedy, but he has a quickness to enter in those routes.
Which is surprising considering he's a converted quarterback.
Yeah.
That was a great experiment. But yeah, like you said early on, this division is always easiest to predict. It's Patriots and everybody else.
Yeah. And speaking of everybody else, to finish up the division, New York Jets.
They really did a steal in C.J. Mosley. I mean, that was the surprise of free agency.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Bell was expected. Like Le'Veon, they also got Le'Veon Bell for a cheaper price than what the Steelers were offering. But we're just going to let that go. But C.J. Mosley, I mean, it was pretty dead set. Like, yeah, the Ravens weren't going to franchise tag him, but they were full on expecting him to come back. Yeah. That's why they didn't franchise tag him, because they were like, hey, we'll give you the money you want. Then all of a sudden, reports he's a Jet.
Yeah.
Like,
out of nowhere.
It was just, and then Le'Veon Bell, you get your bell cow running back. But the only scary thing is now I know everybody's like, well, he's a year removed. He's going to have fresh legs. But he also hasn't faced competition in a year.
Yeah, exactly.
He's training. He gets hit that first time.
You're worried
him just getting up.
Yeah.
I mean, because he has had ACL injuries in the past, and that's made him miss significant time. So, I mean, was it smart for him to sit out a year? Yeah, for his own stance and viewpoint and getting his money. But he gets hit that first time, you might see a different player.
Well, pairing with C.J. Mosley, they got a draft pick in Blake Cashman. My personal favorite out of this entire draft class is Blake Cashman, linebacker from Minnesota. Oh, this kid.
Go ahead and say your little comparison, because I don't agree with.
I personally think that he's a little bit shorter version of Luke Kuechly. This kid, everything about him, he just works so hard.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen much tape, but if he's a Big Ten player, he could be.
I wouldn't look at his numbers when you're looking at comparisons with him. I would strictly look at his tape. He's always around the ball.
We'll see, because we'll see if he plays on the field, if it translates to on the field in the NFL, because it doesn't always.
I know in the preseason he looked very good. I think they played against Denver, and I think he had a few good tackles in there. But
now let's get to the guy that they full on expect to be there.
Quinnen Williams.
Quinnen Williams. I mean, this guy, Alabama kid. Really, I mean, he wasn't ever. I would never say he was the best player on that defense, but I guess he came to be, and everybody loves him. the kid, he's such a cool kid. He's down to earth. If you see his interviews, he's the best interviewee in the league right now. He's going to be a good player. I mean, all Alabama players are, but I mean that they expect him to be the interior of their defense, and he can play.
Yeah.
He played on the biggest stage at the college level. Translate that onto the NFL. Let's see it.
Very good team on the rise, though.
I mean, they are, but
Sam Darnold.
I never liked Sam Darnold. The guy, he's good, but
I don't like any of their wide receivers. Not a single one.
Who's? I mean, Robbie Anderson, but like, who's their
Robbie Anderson on like any other teams? Maybe
third option.
Yeah.
Best. But like exactly like who's their go-to? Is
exactly.
it him?
Yeah, it
He
has
has
to be.
off the field issues. So is he going to play a full season?
Who knows?
Who even is their second receiver? I couldn't even tell you that.
No idea.
It was Jermaine Kearse.
They released him,
but he's gone. Are they expecting Le'Veon Bell to rush the ball 300 times and catch it 100 times? Because right now that seems like what it is. But, yeah, really, I mean...
The inevitable Patriots are going to win
Patriots
AFC
will win it by
East.
4 games. I mean, that might be a little bit of a stretch, but really, if it happens, are we surprised? No.
No, because it happens almost every year.
They'll get a bye week, most likely, because I don't see 2 teams or a team from 2 other divisions that are going to be better than them. Because realistically, they get 4 easy wins a year.
Yeah.
Because they always seem to have trouble playing in Miami, which this year I don't think they will.
For whatever reason.
And they always sweep the Bills. And the Jets usually play them hard in New York. But it's a guaranteed 4 wins.
Yeah.
Because you're not going into Foxborough and beating Brady. You just really aren't. And, I mean, the Bills, he has the Bills number. And for some reason, he just loses a part of him when he goes down to Miami.
Maybe it's the warm weather.
But maybe he doesn't like it. But, I mean, and a little side note, I know this is a sport podcast, but it can't be ever overlooked that we're praying for everybody in the Miami area for Hurricane Dorian.
Everybody be safe that's living down there. If you can, get out of there.
If you haven't already, what you need to get out, because this thing is
I think it's
massive.
supposed to hit soon.
It's probably within the next
it might
24
even
hours.
hit before this video comes out, but
please
I hope
stay
everybody's safe.
And we're praying for you up here, because that natural disasters are never anything to look over, but they're a part of life, and that's what's horrible about it.
Yeah.
And these people are just going to have to restart
all over again. Well, in the next episode, we're going to talk about the AFC South and the AFC West.